We're with Jean Wells, owner of the Stitch and Post here in Sisters, getting ready for the big quilt show, second Saturday of July every year. Thousands from all over the world converge on this little town of Sisters. And Jean, what was it, 39 years ago? I don't want to start dating people here, but...
Oh, that's no problem.
39 years ago, you decided to come up with the idea of having a quilt show, right?
And it wasn't actually going to be a quilt show then. I had opened my store in May, and a girlfriend had a store that had a consignment type goods and pottery and things like that. And we decided just to do an outdoor kind of art fair, and I would just hang a bunch of quilts. And I remember asking some of the ladies in town if I could hang their quilts, so they weren't sure if they were good enough or whatever. And so I ended up just hanging family quilts, and I had only made 2 quilts then. And so we hung them up. And the exciting thing was those women who had thought their quilts weren't good enough walked into town with their quilts and wanted me to hang them too. And so that just kind of got the idea of, well, we could do a quilt show. And so the next year I think we had maybe 50 quilts, and then the next year it went to 100. So, you know, it grew from there, and, you know, it wasn't like I had a giant concept to start with. I would say that the whole quilting phenomena here in Sisters really is a grassroots kind of thing, where it just started with wanting to share people's work, and we've continued to do that.
Yeah, you had probably no idea that you'd have people flying in from all over the world, all these different countries, all these different people.
Many years ago, when I was at Quilt Market, I met a woman from Japan. Her name was Takai Oniyama, and she had a quilt shop in Tokyo. So I made arrangements with her, could they send some quilts over for our show? And they did, and they got stuck in customs, and my husband and I went to Portland, and we just sat in that customs office until they finally let us have them. I think they thought we were going to sell them or something. But that was kind of the beginning of more of an international flair to it. But these days, we're known all over the world. I mean, it's really exciting.
Have, you know, through the years, have you seen the quality of the quilt? I mean, obviously, there's some really intricate, elaborate patterns that we're seeing now, and it's just getting, is it getting more and more like that, or how has it evolved?
Well, I think when you ask that question, it really started from tradition, you know, from our grandmothers, and my grandmothers made quilts. And then I think people being how they are and being creative, they start adding their own touch to things. And so you really have seen quilting just take on a whole new form. And what's interesting is that it's also evolved into the art world. A lot of people who were painters or sculptors or whatever are now choosing to work with textiles. And so the idea of quilting is really a lot bigger idea these days, and you see all kinds of people involved in creating quilts, and it's really amazing the art that you see out there.
Yeah, more than grandma now, really.
Oh, absolutely.
You have men, some good-looking ones with that Men Behind the Quilts calendar, and you have beginners, you have, you know, I don't know if you call them professionals or experts or whatever.
Well, I think some of them you might want to call professionals. Yeah. I know my work has evolved to doing abstract art quilts now, but mine pretty much relate to Central Oregon. I grew up here, only left for 12 years and came back to Sisters, and there's something about living in Central Oregon to me that I just have to be here. I don't want to ever go anyplace else. But I'm so kind of engaged in the patterning that you see in nature, and you know, the vistas that we see. And in my work, I just want to capture that feeling of Central Oregon all the time.
And share it too, because you have you know, a lot of successful classes, like the leading up to the quilt show, pretty much all sold out now, right?
Yeah, there may be a few openings, and if you were interested, you can go out to the high school, because we rent the high school for the whole week, and we have 26 classes a day, And if there are any openings, the two women who are running everything out at the quilt show will be able to sign you up or whatever. So there are, I know, a few openings, but not very many. But we also have evening programs. So there's an evening program on Thursday night, like if you wanted to come hear a lecture by Jackie Gehring, who is a well-known kind of up-and-coming quilter in the modern quilt movement. Very interesting woman, and it would be a great lecture.
Fantastic. Well, Jean, thanks for starting this whole thing, being the genesis of the Sisters Outdoor Quilt Show. That's got to be kind of a rewarding feeling. Huh?
It is a rewarding feeling. You know, for me, I certainly never thought it would be like it is today with 1,300 quilts and all these people and everything. But yet, I can't get enough of it. I love Quilt Show. You know, it's that whole day of sharing. And when I drive into town, usually about 6 in the morning, and you know, it's usually a gorgeous day. I mean, we've never not had a gorgeous day. And I just count my blessings that, you know, it's Quilt Show Day again, and you start seeing all that color come up as people hang the quilts. It just doesn't get any better.
Okay, we look forward to it. Thanks again. Jean Wells with the Stitchin' Post.